Good morning, Andrews Elementary, and happy Thursday. I hope you're having a great start to the day. We had a ton of students come in the last couple days, well, parents really, to pick up the student belongings. I got to see many of you if you came with your parents, so that was a lot of fun. We still have about 30 bags left, so today myself and some other staff members may be delivering some of those things to your houses. So we'll knock on the door. We'll step back 6 foot, 10 foot, whatever. See if anybody comes to the door, kind of wave to you, and wish you a good summer. So I'm going to go ahead and keep reading. We're on chapter 28. If you remember, last chapter was a pretty exciting one. The centipede kind of angered the cloud men who started throwing hailstones at the peach. Well, they all went inside the peach, and after a while, they stopped hearing the sounds, so they decided it was safe to come out. James was leading the way to the top of the peach, and that's where we left off. So, chapter 28. One by one, the travelers came out again on top of the peach and gazed carefully around. The moon was still shining as brightly as ever, and there were plenty of huge shimmering cloud mountains on all sides. But there were no cloud men in sight. The peach is leaking, shouted the old green grasshopper, peering over the side. It's full of holes and the juice is dripping out everywhere. Well, that does it, cries the earthworm. If the peach is leaking, then we shall surely sink. Oh, don't be silly, the centipede told him. We're not in the water now. Oh, look, shouted the ladybug. Look, 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 look over there. Everybody swung round to look. In the distance, directly above them, they saw the most extraordinary sight. It was kind of an arch, a colossal, curvy-shaped thing that reached high up into the sky and came down at both ends. The ends were resting upon a huge flat cloud that was as big as a desert. Now, what in the world is that? Asked James. It's a bridge. It's an enormous hoop cut in half. It's a giant horseshoe standing upside down. Stop me if I'm wrong, murmured the centipede, going white in the face. But might those not be cloudmen climbing all over it? There was a dreadful silence. Peach floated closer and closer. They are cloudmen. There's hundreds of them, thousands, millions. I don't want to hear about it, shrieked the poor blind earthworm. I'd rather be at the end of a fishhook and used as bait than come up against those terrible creatures again. I'd rather be fried alive and eaten, wailed the old green grasshopper. Please keep quiet, whispered James. It's our only hope. They crouched very still on top of the peach, staring at the cloudmen. The whole surface of the cloud was literally swarming with them, and there were hundreds more above, climbing about in a monstrous, crazy arch. What is that thing? Whispered the ladybug. And what are they doing to it? I don't care what they're doing to it, the centipede said, scuttling over the tunnel entrance. I'm not staying up here. Goodbye. But the rest of them were too frightened or too hypnotized by the whole affair to move. Do you know what? Whispered James. What? They said. What? That enormous arch. They seem to be painting it. They've got pots of paint, big brushes. Look. And he was quite right. The travelers were close enough now to see that this was exactly what the cloudmen were doing. They all had huge brushes in their hands, and they were splashing the paint into great curvy arch in a frenzy of speed, so fast, in fact, that in a few minutes the whole of the arch became covered with the most glorious colors. Reds, blues, greens, yellows, purples. It's a rainbow, everyone said at once. They're making a rainbow. Oh, isn't it beautiful? Just look at those colors. Centipede, they shouted, you must come up here and see this. They were all enthralled by the beauty and brilliance of the rainbow that they forgot to keep their voices low. The centipede poked his head out cautiously out of the tunnel entrance. Well, 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 he said. I've always wondered how those things were made. But why all the ropes? What are they doing with those ropes? Good heavens, they're pushing it off the cloud, cried James. There it goes. They're lowering it down to the earth with ropes. And I'll tell you something else, the centipede said sharply. If I'm not greatly mistaken, we ourselves are going to bump right into it. Bless my soul, he's right, said the old green grasshopper. The rainbow was now dangling in the air below the cloud. The peach was also below the level of the cloud, and it was headed directly towards the rainbow, traveling rather fast. We're lost, Miss Spider cried, wringing her feet again. The end has come. I can't stand it, wailed the earthworm. Tell me what's happening. Oh, we're going to miss it, shouted the ladybug. No, we're not. Yes, we are. Yes, yes, no. Oh, my heavens. Hold on, everybody, James called out. Suddenly there was a tremendous thud as the peach went crashing into the top of the rainbow. This was followed by an awful splintering noise as the enormous rainbow snapped right across the middle and became two separate pieces. The next thing that happened was extremely unfortunate. The ropes that the cloudmen had been using for lowering the rainbow got tangled up with the silk strings that went up from the peach to the seagulls. The peach was trapped, Panic and pandemonium broke out among the travelers, and James Henry Trotter, glancing up quickly, saw the faces of 1,000 furious cloud men peering down at them over the edge. The faces had almost no shape at all because of the long white hairs that covered them. There were no noses, no mouths, no ears, no chins. Only the eyes were visible in each face, 2 small black eyes glinting marvelously through the hairs. Then came the most frightening thing of all. One cloud man, a huge hairy creature who must have been 14 feet tall at least, suddenly stood up and made a tremendous leap off the side of the cloud, trying to get to one of the silk strings above the peach. James and his friends saw him go flying through the air above him, his arms outstretched in front of him, reaching for the nearest string, and they saw him grab it and cling to it with his hands and legs, and then, very, very slowly, hand over hand, he began to come down the string. "Mercy, help us, save us," cried the ladybird. "He's coming down to eat us," wailed the old green grasshopper. "Jump overboard." "Then eat the earthworm first," shouted the centipede. "It's no good eating me, I'm full of bones." "Centipede," yelled James, "quickly, bite through that string, the one he's coming down on." The centipede rushed over to the stem of the peach and took the silk string in his teeth and bit through it with one snap of his jaws. Immediately, far above them, a single seagull was seen to come away from the rest of the flock and go flying off with a long string trailing from its neck. And clinging desperately to the end of the string, shouting and cursing with fury, was a huge hairy cloud man. Up and up he went, swinging across the moonlight sky. James Henry Trotter, watching him with delight, said, "My goodness, he must weigh almost nothing at all for one seagull to be able to pull him up like that. He must be all hair and air." The rest of the cloudmen were so flabbergasted at seeing one of the company carried away in this manner that they let go of the ropes they were holding, and then, of course, down went the rainbow, both halves of it together, tumbling towards the earth. This freed the peach, which at once began sailing away from the terrible cloud. But the travelers were not in the clear yet. The infuriated cloud men jumped up and ran after them along the cloud, pelting them mercilessly with all sorts of hard and horrible objects: empty paint buckets, paintbrushes, step ladders, stools, saucepans, frying pans, rotten eggs, dead rats, bottles. Anything those brutes could lay their hands on came raining down upon the peach. One cloud man, taking very careful aim, tipped a gallon of thick purple paint over the edge of the cloud right onto the centipede himself. The centipede screamed with anger. "My legs," he cried. "They're sticking together. I can't walk. And my eyelids won't open. I can't see. And my boots are ruined." But for the moment, everyone was far too busy dodging the things that the cloudmen were throwing to pay any attention to the centipede. "The paint is drying," he moaned. "It's going hard. I can't move my legs. I can't move anything." "You can still move your mouth," the earthworm said. "That's a pity." "James," bawled the centipede, "please help me. Wash off the paint, scrape it off, anything." That's the end of chapter 28. But there is an illustration of the centipede. Can you see it? Right there. Covered in purple paint. You'll have to visualize that because that's a black and white illustration. All right, friends. Well, that concludes today's chapter. I hope you enjoyed it. Chapter 29 will be tomorrow. And tomorrow's Friday, so that's a great day. Remember, friends, if nobody told you they love you today, I love you all very much. Hey, maybe I'll be coming to your house today. Have a great one.